Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Digital to Dice podcast. I am Dave.
I'm Ron.
And it's just myself and Ron today, back in our usual studios. Boy, what a great chat 171 was with the replay gamer, Al Red Sox fan, and Steve Tower last week.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That was fun. What a fun night that was.
That was one of my favorite chats. We just had such a good time with that. And also, the feedback we got for that show and that live chat was unbelievable. In fact, I don't want to say the top, I guess it would be the top comment, or the top comments that we got was, do more. Get more people on, do more chats like this. Let's have people on in the community and just have a nice big roundtable discussion. And we talked about all kinds of things that night.
Very wide-ranging.
It did. We touched on all kinds of things. A lot of stuff, directly related to the gaming community here. So that was a lot of fun. So anyway, ways to get a hold of us here. It's digitaltodice.com. That's the website. 978-751-DICE. That is the text line. digitaltodice@yahoo.com. And over on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/digitaltodice. And if you would like to become a Patreon for $2 a month or $5 a month, if you think the show is worth 50 cents, join us over on Patreon, patreon.com/digitaltodice. And you could be eligible for a Star of the Week when we do our normal shows. This is episode 172. I don't know if we talked about that yet.
Yeah, we haven't said what we're talking about, but I did think you mentioned the number.
Okay, so it's 172. Before I get to what we're talking about, on a future episode,
yes,
we like to have community feedback here a lot because it's a community show. This is for the community. It's not about us, for the community. And so what we want to talk about is your positive customer service experiences in the gaming community, okay? Now, we know that it's not all positive and that people have had bad experiences. I get it. But we want to find out some of the good experiences that you've had.
Tell us what works.
Tell us what your story is. And briefly what your story was. What company was it? What person was it? Tell us how they either resolved anything or just, and we've already got a handful on that on Facebook there. But now that we have the podcast up, we're going to be talking about our positive customer service stories. Now we know there's been bad customer service. Okay, so we're not going to gloss over that and pretend it's all rainbows and sunshine and Skittles. But we just want to let people know out there that, sometimes, you might have a bad experience, but someone might have a good experience. And so,
right.
And I've had that myself, even with my own damn cable company. I've had some terrible experiences, but then I've had some really good ones too. So we just want to talk about the good experiences there. And so maybe you'll give a second thought to somebody that maybe it didn't go well with you, But if it doesn't go well with a lot of people, then yeah, there's a problem. But everybody has a bad day. Everybody has whatever that's going on. Even us, we have our days where we're not very responsive. But so we're going to do that in an upcoming show. So send that in, digitaltodice@yahoo.com, and tell us your customer service story here within the gaming community. Now, as far as today, what we're going to talk about, is gaming good for you? And that kind of started with myself talking to Ron this week about, I'm really looking forward to coming home and gaming tonight after a day of work at the cold hockey rink, or maybe I just been something got canceled and it's like, oh man, I got tonight off, or I got today off, so I can enjoy something here. Or, maybe the wife goes out and takes the dogs with her, and I get the house to myself, and just looking forward to it. And I was like, is this a good thing? Is gaming good for you? And the other reason I thought about that is, not only do I want to look forward to gaming a lot, especially when I'm working a lot and I get a break, is, the last few Saturday nights I haven't had to work. And here I am Saturday night at 10 o'clock, sitting in my basement, and I'm either playing a game and watching somebody on YouTube do their thing, or I'm playing a game on YouTube myself, talking to the community. And there's so many other things that I could be doing that would probably not be good. You know what I mean? I mean, you could go out and get in some trouble, but here I am sitting in my basement playing a game. So is that a good thing too, that I'm not running around the town?
So what happens when you lose a dice in the hot tub?
I lost a dice in Studio A. I've been trying to do Studio A. just because it's a bigger table and I can set up easier. So I try to set up an iPad or a webcam or something over there to catch me playing some games in Studio A, more of a test than anything else. And no kidding, I used my dice tower and a die shot out, hit my leg, hit the rug beneath me, and I never saw it again. And it's been lost for a week.
On top of spaghetti.
I'm like, where the heck did it go? I mean, there's not many places it can go. And I'm looking around. It must have hit and took off somewhere because I'm looking under couches and I'm looking between bookshelves. It's like, where did this thing go? It just went into the abyss. And like, it come off, it jumped. I heard it hit the rug on the ground, and then I never heard it again. It's like, okay, where did it go? There's a hard floor around the rug, so I would have heard it run on the floor. So I'm still searching for that.
With cheese.
Like, where did it go?
I lost my poor white dog.
So at least if I rolled it in the hot tub, I know it would just sink to the bottom. I could pick it up again. You know?
You got a table you can actually sit up to do that? That would be the ultimate in relaxation.
Oh my gosh, that would be. I sit in the hot tub. We got a small one here. We've had since we bought the house, 30 years ago. It's just a tiny little bathtub type of thing, but it's good in the winter. And I'll go in and I'll bring the iPad and I'll just watch YouTube videos or something like that.
There's been the movie Hot Tub Time Machine.
Yeah.
And we could do hot tub gaming.
Well, all these women on Twitch, they make millions of dollars sitting in their hot tubs, and I'm thinking we should try that. Maybe
I'm not giving you any money to write my name on a piece of floaties.
No, hang on.
Floaties. I'm not paying you to write my name on a floaty.
Hang on. You need to wait until you see it before you make that judgment.
Oh no! See,
you might tune in and see me in a hot tub in a Speedo, right? And I got a big giant white die, and it's like for $25 I'll write your name on the die, and Jucket's plunking down his credit card or his Venmo, and I see it come through, and I'm just like, here it is, Ron. And that might be the thing. Maybe we could.
Is this the opposite of an old public television pledge drive? If I don't give you $50, will you give me the tote bag in the coffee?
Yeah, if I don't donate, would you please turn the channel off? So anyway, here let's get into to what's going on with us over here. So winter finally came over here, as you can tell. We got a lot of snow, and you got some snow too. So
a little bit, yeah. It got cold again.
Yeah, we're supposed to have another storm tomorrow, so we'll see. I might have Tuesday night off. In fact, I think I'm taking tomorrow night off because just of the snow and then rain. It's like, yeah, we'll see how that goes. You know what I did actually? I bought a book, and I haven't bought a book in a long time, and it's only available on Kindle for some reason.
Okay.
And it was about the two missing hikers from the Netherlands that went into the Panama jungle and never heard from again. And for some reason, it's from 2014. It's 9 years old now.
No wonder why you don't sleep at night.
I've been into all these mysteries and stuff. Now when I'm rolling dice on the table at night, I've been putting on some mysteries and stuff. It's just something to listen to. But I've been following this case for about a year or so now, and it's just such a bizarre case. It's Chris Kremers and Lizanne Froon, I think their names are.
Yeah, I'm vaguely familiar with it.
And it's just, they went up this trail and never came back, and they months went by and like they never found a trace of them. And then all of a sudden their backpack shows up like 14 miles away. Like 14 miles, that's a long way to go, and it was all nicely neat with their phones and their camera. And then they started to find bones scattered all over the jungle. And it's like, man, what the heck's going on? So they're saying, oh, it was an accident. They must have fell and got hurt. And then the jungle, blah, 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 and the rivers and the animals. I don't know. Nothing really makes sense. And then when you look at the phones, the records of the phones, how many times they dialed emergency services, and then 10 days later they try to put in the code and they kept putting in the wrong code. Like, that doesn't make sense. And then the pictures on the camera, there was a picture that was deleted on the camera, and then there's all these photos that were taken in the middle of the night. It just so many, like, every conclusion you come to can be debunked by looking at the evidence. So there's not one conclusion everybody can agree on because it's so weird. And I don't know why this case just kind of captures my attention. So I ended up buying a book that was, I think it was put out last year. So I watched so many YouTube videos on it, but I'm like, I'm going to get the book because supposedly they really lay out some scenarios. And I don't know, I've just been captivated with this story, and it's a very sad story, and I feel bad for the families and the whole bit, but it's just a missing person case. It just kind of got my attention. So I bought a book on that. So we'll see how that turns out. But it's been tough to pull me away from my gaming because I've been playing a ton of stuff in Studio
Yeah,
A.
you finally pulled out the games again.
I did. I finally unboxed the package from Drive Through Cards, which
It's the 72 Summit Series, right?
Yes, and I ordered this back in December, and they arrived the week before Christmas, and they've been sitting in a box. I just have been working so much. So finally I pulled them out. So I had a new deck of shootout cards. So I got 2 decks of shootout cards now, the nice poker cards. I picked up the 72 Summit Series between Canada and USSR. And I think I picked up, it was 81-82 for Hockey Bones as well.
I think. Yeah,
so Summit Series was Hockey Bones as well. I should clarify that. So it was shootout deck facts. So I have 2 now. And then I got the Hockey Bones Summit Series and the Hockey Bones 81-82. So I played a quick game 81-82, very high-scoring game. And then I played the Summit Series out, all 8 games of the Summit Series. And it was when the thing came to an end, it was 4-4 tie. Each team won 4 games. Very interesting. So
it's pretty close to how it. I mean,
it was. It was. It was 4-3-1, right?
Yeah, Canada in real life. Yeah.
So Russia won the first 2 in Canada. Canada won 4 in a row, and then Russia won the last 2 in Russia. And what was funny about this is that we had a couple of last-minute goals. Russia scored with a minute to play to win one game. Peter Mahovlich scored with 24 seconds left in one game, and he was like on a 3rd or 4th line at that time too. But he was out in the ice. I kind of play him random. He scored with 24 seconds left to win 7-6. But in Game 7, when it was 4-2 Russia, the Russians got 10 power plays. And that just felt like exactly how it happened in real life, was all these penalties to help the East German referee helping the Russians, and they ended up hanging on for a 4-3 win with 10 power plays. So that really felt like the series there. So good job.
You had a shutout in that series too, which I think is the most amazing thing.
Game 5 in Moscow. Canada showed up in Moscow ready to play, and Game 5 was 6-0. That was just a crazy game.
Dryden, right?
Esposito, only 23 saves too in that game.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep. So that was a lot of fun. Big thanks to Dave and Tim over there at PT Games for putting out the 72 Summit Series. Like I said, I bought it from Drive-Thru, so I have the really nice cards, but I think it's available PDF as well. So I ended up. So I had so much fun with that I ended up ordering a couple of more Hockey Bone seasons. I think I got 66, 67, and then 69, I think. I have this urge to play the 69-70 Bruins, and so I ordered that up there. I'm also getting a huge urge to go back to shootout hockey right now. I'm in a hockey mode right now. So I want to go back, and I'm not sure if I'm going to do shootout EZ and try to play a season, or if I'm going to just take the cards and play a playoff scenario with using the regular game. I mean, I could use EZ too, but I want to pull out the shootout cards and play. I haven't played that in a while, and I really missed that. And I really want to get back to Stone Cold Hockey as well. I miss all of them.
That's 93, 94 has been released for Stone Cold Hockey.
Yeah, they got a new season release, so that's really, really good on that.
Ranger fans will be quite happy about that.
Yeah, they will. So I've been in a big-time hockey mode, although I keep saying it, but I am going to wrap up the Spiders project with the Strat PC this week on my YouTube channel. I'm going to go to the last game of the season and see what our record is. I think we tied the 20 games, so we can
You got the 20th one on the stream, right?
Yeah, we streamed them. They got the 20th win on the stream, so good for the Spiders. So I need to wrap that project up and move on to the next one. And that 79 baseball season, which I'm having a blast with when I'm rotating season ticket and pocket pennant using the digital diamond interface there to keep track of everything. That has been a blast too, and I want to get back to that as well. But I kind of took a little detour here to play some hockey. I started to get a small football itch, but I never did anything with it. So I'm still kind of in the hockey mode right now. And I don't know if you saw the Bruins game the other night when the goalie scored a goal.
I did see that. I saw the highlights of it.
He is having a great season, and then to go and be the first Bruins goalie to ever score a goal was something else. So congratulations to him and the Bruins for having an unbelievable season. So let's see how it goes.
Can they break the President's Trophy curse, though?
Right. Let's see if they can break the curse.
I mean, that's an all-time great team. In fact, it might be the best team since 69, 70, 70, 71.
Oh, it's insane that their record and how they're playing, and just, and they started the season missing a couple of superstars, you know what I mean? So they were trying to hang on till December. They not only hung on, they were leading the league, and they still are. So
the Bruins very rarely have a bad team.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been since like the early 90s,
even then they weren't horrible. They weren't good for Boston standards, but they weren't horrible.
When the Boston Garden went away and they moved into the Fleet Center, it was called
first
at
couple
the time.
Of years, so mid-90s, yeah.
Mid-90s, they were just awful. In fact, people were blaming the new building and the whole bit.
I think there is something to that. I mean, there was a mystique to the Garden, and there was a mystique to the Forum. Yep. And when you lose that home ice advantage, that's very distinct because the rink was bigger when you moved to the new place. Mm-hmm. But eventually, you've won a cup, you've made a few finals. Montreal has never played all that well at Centre Bell. We did make a cup final, and they fired the coach with a winning percentage of .394. So, yeah. So it's been hard times for the Habs for a generation. And, all teams go through cycles, but the bottom of your cycle is a lot higher up in the bottom of
I get
Montreal's.
It. Yeah, no, I hear that as well, yeah. So I wonder if the Maple Leafs should go back to Maple Leafs Garden, if that's still standing.
You know what it is?
What do you say? It's like a mall, a shopping mall?
It's a grocery store.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
It's a supersized Loblaws. And up on the 4th or 5th floor, there's a university up there. That's a pretty big building.
Yeah.
And so on like the 4th or 5th floor of the gardens is a hockey rink. The college plays up there.
That's interesting.
But the main floor is a grocery store, and it's Ontario, so you can buy your milk in a bag.
Interesting. That's kind of neat, yeah.
The Forum in Montreal is a movie theater. It's part of the AMC movie chain. Wow. So it's like a 1 through 10 Cineplex. And in the lobby where the logo was painted on center ice, that has remained unchanged. And somewhere up there, they've kept a couple seats. So if you look around in the lobby, you can find a couple of seats from the Forum.
I've actually been there a couple of times, the old Forum, back in the day. 70s and 80s, I went there a couple of times. So it was kind of fun. So anyway, that's what I've been doing, just kind of reading my book and playing Hockey Bones a lot, and getting ready to start some other projects here. So what's been on your table?
Well, let's see. The Action PC season Odyssey continues, and we're at the quarter part of the season. We're working on Memorial Day pretty soon. The Reds continue to be a surprise. The White Sox continue to be a surprise. The Braves continue to be a surprise the other way. The rest of the division starting to suck. So the Braves should get a hold of things pretty soon. But, that's been intriguing. Couple walk-off wins. So, I keep having Dave Gardner games. Need to be off by a certain time. I'm like, oh, no, we're going 9. We're going 10. We're going 12.
Oh, that's the thing about baseball. It's like sometimes I'll play late at night, and it's like, here we go. We're in the 12th inning. Just end already. Just please, I want to go to bed.
So I did a video on how to create a custom league in Stratomatic PC baseball. And that did really well. And so I started playing with that league. It's from 2004. So I bought the season. Let's talk about the value of a season. $30 now for a Strat PC season.
Yeah, that used to be what, 27?
It used to be 25. Anyway, it's their mousetrap, and you like the game or whatever. So I took the 2 teams with Boston heritage, the Red Sox and the Braves, and the 4 teams with New York heritage, the Mets, the Yankees, the Dodgers, and the Giants. And I invited Houston and St. Louis because that was the NLCS that year. So threw them all together in a league, 42-game season, everything done manually except for the wild pitch and balk rolls. And what is it? Oh, the stealing rolls also done behind the scenes in the game, but everything else I'm controlling. And I do plan on doing a video on the first game day. So the first opening series in the schedule generator, you play everyone 3 at home, you play everyone 3 away, then you're done. It's 168 games if I play them all out. So it's a little longer than just a 1-team regular season. You get, I think it's a good combination of different things. Pedro threw a 3-hit shutout for the Red Sox over the Dodgers. That was the first game. Struck an 11. It was great. Next 2 games were offensive slugfests. Last game was the Mets and the Astros, and I forgot who started. I have to go through and look. And we had Roy Oswalt was going for the Astros, and we had a shutout going into the 9th inning. And I think Houston scored 4 in the 11th so to win 4, whatever it was. Again, I got to do a video on it. So I'm going, okay, so I got 2 offensive explosions and 2 pitchers duels. And I remember looking at the batting average at the end of day 1, and it was 250. We got it right.
Nice.
So that's been fun. And so everything, again, using ball roller and then manually entering everything, the dice rolls into the game. The pitcher's duels take about 20 minutes. The longer games take about 30. And it really does give me the feel and flow of looking at the card and entering the result and moving on.
Oh, nice.
So you've openly wondered out loud a few times why I don't play more strap baseball. Well, thanks, Dave.
You ever consider having a date night with the wife where you sit down and she rolls the dice, it's like physical dice for you, and you can input it and kind of share a nice like that, like on her birthday or something like that?
Oh, especially on her birthday, 4th of July.
Honey, I have a special night planned for us. Come in, grab those dice and just start rolling them. We're going to play a baseball game.
Is this the time we start talking about whether gaming is healthy or not?
That wouldn't be healthy.
It would be healthy for the hospital. They get the insurance payment for the black eyes I would get from that.
Right.
But what else have I been playing? I really put a lot on the computer. More, success in bowling and that. But as far as sports gaming is concerned, pretty much mostly baseball and mostly enjoyable stuff. And I got to say, I mean, I remember during the 2001 season, and everyone was complaining about how much offense there was and all the steroids and B12 shots and blah, 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 blah. Well, here we go. We're picking out 3 games a week, and they've pretty much all been close, all been tight, a lot of pitchers' duels. It's just not what I remember that era being. Then again, making we're finally playing a 21st century season and realizing it's 23 years ago or 23 seasons ago. Yeah, that's recent, Ron.
Right. That time does fly.
It does fly, doesn't it? It does fly. So it's interesting in the 2004 strat, seeing how enough people have moved around, and so even more of the names are familiar. And I'm sure for, obviously I remember the Red Sox and Yankees from 2004, but some of the other teams I don't really remember all that well. So yeah, that's pretty much what I've been doing.
I want to do a couple of quick shout-outs here before we get into the topic of the day. One shout-out I want to give to is to Greg Amos, if that's how you say his last name. Greg Amos, I think it's Greg Amos. He's been doing some incredible stuff with Hockey Bones on YouTube. In fact, he's set up like a whole spreadsheet, and he's got all the cards scanned in and on the table.
Ooh.
And he is like such a whiz at Excel. It's like I'm looking at this, I'm like, I don't even know where to begin with this. So somehow he's got the cards, and you can click on it, and you whenever it happens on a play, the puck will move to that position. When you click, he's got arrows set up on every player to move the puck around. So the puck moves. You click on the card, it expands to see what the card looks like. He's got, so every face-off he goes in and he logs in, and he's got like any stat you would want. He's got it logged in on his Excel spreadsheet, and I wouldn't even know where to begin doing that. But I watched some of his video, and I was like, so he's playing Hockey Bones in Excel, and he's keeping all these stats, and he's got like season stats and it's like, it was amazing. So I don't know if Greg listens to the show, but I want to give a shout out to Greg there. Great job with that. And I also want to give a shout out to Bill Thornton, the SoCal Sabre. If anybody has seen him on YouTube,
I'm so to his channel. Yeah,
he's been doing some hockey. He's been doing some Hockey Bones and some APA, and he was struggling a little bit with the APA. So I actually sent him a message. I said, Bill, if you want to help you with that, because I've done a lot of APA and I'm playing a lot of bones. Not that I'm an expert at either, but he was stumbling on some things that I stumbled on when I first started playing. So I said I might be able to get you through some of these things. So shout out to Bill and Greg there for playing some Hockey Bones and Bill playing some Apple on his channel. It's just been fun to see some other people on YouTube playing some of the games that I play, and I've been interacting with them. And there's been a couple other people too. I forget who they were now, but that have put out some different videos, and a couple I stumbled on like that are a month or two old. I'm like, oh, cool, some new people, joining not necessarily joining the community, but are on YouTube doing things. So it's kind of neat to see that as well. So just want to shout out to them. All right, so I suppose now we could get into the topic of the day.
Absolutely. Before you get into that, I think I've told you about the anniversary dinner from hell a few years ago.
Is this when Sarah didn't bring the dice?
No, this is a serious story.
Okay, yeah, I think you told me that. Yeah, when there was gunshots fired and people dealing drugs and.
Well, there was a fight across the street from where we were having anniversary dinner number 21.
Okay.
So this would have been about 4 years ago. And so she wanted to eat inside, and we didn't. We ate outside, and I heard about that, and so yes, the flop house down the street, and the two druggies are fighting in the bush, and the cops come and they call everybody by the first names and stuff like that. And the meal was not good. So she's just beside herself, and it's like, it would be, that's what it would be about, getting the dice out. And so at the end of that dinner, and she's just kind of looking at me, and you realize that, this has just been, it was us out there and a rehearsal dinner for a younger couple. And so the bride and groom weren't there. So it was his parents and her friends. So it's an awkward dinner with 10 people outside, and our 21st anniversary dinner being entertained and all this, and of course TV technology. And the last thing I said to her before she knocked me out, no, I'm kidding about that, was, it's like, well, thanks for the 8K TV, honey, but did we have to watch Cops?
Yeah, I know, right? Did you do a survey for the rest? Aside from the episode of Cops right outside our door there, how was the meal?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Could have we watched a ball game instead of that? But, so anyway, back to the topic at hand.
Yeah, not sure what that had to do with anything about what we're talking about, but good story, bro. Cool story, bro. You're getting known for that. People are loving the fact that you just kind of go off into a tangent out of the blue for no reason at all.
You're the one that brought up me gaming with her on my birthday. Yeah.
Okay. So, is gaming good for you? So that's what we're going to talk about today. And as usual, we want to hear your comments on this. And I would like to say probably overwhelming yes, gaming is good for you. Now, like anything else, too much is too much, and you can overdose on games.
I'll go into the things that aren't very healthy, but yeah.
Yeah, so let's start with some of the things that I think are good. I mean, first of all, I think, and I think it's actually been proven scientifically that if you exercise your brain...
Oh, absolutely.
It's going to be a good long-term effect for you and your memory and your brain and your mental capabilities. So while you're sitting there rolling dice and figuring things out and learning new games, you're keeping your brain going. You're not getting lazy. You're not getting a lazy brain. You know what I mean? You're not just sitting in front of the TV, vegging out. That you're actually contributing to things. And even video games to a certain point were supposed to be good because it keeps you sharp. And sometimes you solve puzzles in video games. So you got to really think about it. But here, like I say, rolling dice and looking at results and learning new games, and especially with Hockey Bones. And me and Hockey Unreal have been having a chat about Hockey Bones, and one of his older videos about Hockey Bones was, is it a difficult game? And I was, of course, back in the day before I played Hockey Bones, I was giving them all ribbing them, giving them all sorts of crap about, the difficulty of Hockey Bones and blah, 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 blah. But now that I played it and I enjoy the game, I would say Hockey Bones, the difficulty in Hockey Bones is just remembering all the little things. So if you roll the dice and it's an interception, it's the other team gets it, except if it's a red 6. So it's little things like that that keep you on your toes when you're playing Hockey Bones. And so you're always thinking. So every roll of the dice, you got to stop, and you can't just assume what it is, because you got to think for a second. Okay, what's this die? Because that could change something. Or if it's a power play, it could change something. So Hockey Bones is a mentally challenging game because there's so many things that you need to remember. And it's almost the same as season ticket baseball, where none of it's difficult, but there's so many things to remember. So if you're trying to pick somebody off first base, if you roll the dice too high or too low, you could throw the ball away, or or you pick the guy off depending on what you roll. And a lot of times I forget to check that. So there's a lot of little things in season ticket that I just and it doesn't wreck the game by any means, but again, it's just some things I just forget to check, and the same with hockey balls. But it does keep you on your toes. It does keep you mentally sharp when you're trying to always think of these things. So I think when you're playing games, and especially if you're learning games, you get a new game, you learn it, you read the directions, and you try to figure it out. It kind of reminds me of back in the day when you would you'd get a bicycle, or maybe like a dresser drawer, and you get the instructions, and you're trying to put it together. Anything you'd have to put together with instructions. That's kind of how it feels playing these games, is you're putting together this game in your mind, and you're trying to learn how it goes. So I think, starting right off, I think gaming is good for your mind.
Well, to go back to my introduction to gaming 1,000 years ago in college, a lot of my understanding of hockey in general came from being taught how to play Strat, because hockey was not on network TV when I was a kid. Not everyone had cable, and it was so it was a game that you'd see maybe once or twice a year and not really understand how it works. And so sitting down and learning how to penetrate and learning how the basics of that go. And again, Strat in its purest form is a highlight game as opposed to a full pass-by-pass game. No, it certainly made my understanding of hockey better, and power plays, and then so we'll start with that. But pretty much, because most of the gaming I've done over the last 40 some odd years has been baseball. Yeah, I think that learning how to make decisions as a teenager, not life or death decisions, but understanding of how sports work in general, and understanding that even though you might make the right decision, especially in football, you get the defense wrong and you're bombing it down the field, and understanding that just because you got it right doesn't mean the game agrees that you're going to get the positive outcome for that. You can get picked off or fumble or the Red Sox kicking school of missing pretty much whatever. And so starting with that too, being, especially I think in a card and dice environment, being able to roll for the result, look to see where the result comes from, recording the result keeps you into it. And I think especially as we get older, that's very important. You got to keep the mind sharp. Not, it also doesn't hurt to do Sudoku or crossword puzzles either, but it's really the same sort of thing. You really can't, you got to slow down enough to figure out what's going on so you can advance it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No, I think it's a good thing. Is whether they say crossword puzzles, Sudoku, playing games like we do, any kind of mind exercise to keep your mind going and keep it sharp. I think that's kind of key, because you're exercising your mind is what you're trying to do. Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned football and pick off. While I was playing the other night on the table, something come up on my YouTube feed. It was I think it was 75 Steelers Raiders championship game, and I think they combined for 13 turnovers. It was in Pittsburgh. It was a cold day. Everything was a fumble. Everything was an interception. I don't remember that game, but holy cow, 12 or 13 interceptions in an AFC championship game was nuts. Speaking.
Those defenses were so good.
And Bradshaw and Stable just were getting picked off, and then they handed off. The guy would run 3 yards, and the ball would just squirt right out of his hand. It was like, oh my gosh, crazy time. But that, anyway, I thought of that while you were talking about the football there.
I go off and tell stories.
Mine was very short and to the point. So the other thing I'm thinking about with that, with good for gaming is so the wife's upstairs, and she likes to watch her show, so she's in bed early on a Saturday night, and she's got the 3-legged dog with her in bed, and they're curled up and they're watching their TV, and they just, especially in the wintertime, they're just warming up or whatever, and I'm down here on a Sudbury Saturday night and sitting there just playing my games, and whether I'm sitting here, myself, or I'm streaming on YouTube, chatting with the community, I suppose she's probably real happy that I'm downstairs hanging out with you guys on YouTube than I am if I was, out at a bar room, hanging with the buddies, you know what I mean? Or just kind of out and about, you know, doing whatever it is, you know, you do, or, you know, or taking off for the weekend or whatever. So I think there's something to be said that it's a very harmless hobby, you know, to a certain degree. I mean, again, you can abuse anything, but, you know, it's just, I'm down here playing my games, thrilled to death at what I'm doing. She's thrilled to death what she's doing. And you know, I think it just kind of works out that, you know, there's a lot worse things that people could be doing than playing games.
For a lot of hobbies are very expensive. I mean, our friend Ray, I mean, an engine for a model train layout can run a couple of $100. Mm-hmm. You know, some of those things have thousands and thousands of dollars put into them. And so, yeah, it could be a lot worse, you know, to sit there and go, but you could get into the sports sim and replay hobby for $40. $50, I think, buys you second and 10, which comes with every season. Mm-hmm. And OOTP, you can get as cheap as $5 if you get it at Christmas. And so the entry point for some of this stuff is very
even
affordable.
The PDFs. I mean, you look at shootout hockey, it's, what is it, $10 or $12 for the game, and then seasons are anywhere between $5 and $12. So if you spend $20 or $30, you could be off with a PDF. Now you'd have to print out the stuff, but I mean, if you just have a printer at home, and most people do, you know, you could be off and running with a fantastic hockey game. And that's cards and dice. You know, again, there's some great deals with computer stuff too. Hockey Bones, I think, is $12 and then $12 a season. So $24, you get the game and a season for PDF. And you know, from there, if you want to get
NPNG Plus is free.
Yeah, there's some free games out there. You know, Fast Drive Football from Al Wilson.
Fast Drive Football from Al Wilson.
Again, PDF, completely free. So if you have a printer, you can find some very inexpensive games and get into this hobby. So again, you're right. Now you can spend a lot of money if you want to buy.
We'll get to some of the downsides of this.
Yeah, but for the most part, you know, you can get into this game fairly inexpensive, depending on what game you get and, you know, the whole bit. But yeah, so you're not spending a ton of money. You're not out there, you know, boozing it up with the boys. You're not out there, you know, spending tons of money on certain things. And there are some. I know people that collect cars. I'm like, I mean, you know, $20,000-$30,000 cars people collect. How do you collect something that's worth $20,000 or $30,000? I just can't imagine that. You know what I mean? I feel guilty when
because you spend your days defending or prosecuting people in court. I mean, that's the only one.
Maybe, yeah, because you know I feel guilty like when I spend like $100. It's like I'm gonna get a few seasons or a new game or something, and I'm gonna get the really nice version or something like that. I feel guilty when I spend some money like that from time to time, but I can't imagine dropping $20,000 or $30,000 to collect a car. So there are some things that are a lot worse than gaming that costs a lot of money as well. So like I said, depending on what you do, it's fairly inexpensive to get into gaming. It really is.
Yeah, another thing is that, you know, it's comfort food. Most people go back and play something from their childhood. And so you get to go back in a way that gets away from all the nagging things that happen in life, and whether you're not necessarily feeling well or your spouse isn't necessarily feeling well or the pet's not feeling well or whatever, you can go back to a time in your life when you were much more comfortable and reminisce about that. Now, again, we can get into some of the downsides of that too, but the fact that you can just kind of escape, it's like a book. I always talk about the storytelling aspect of it and the novel writing aspect of what these games can do. But it really is just kind of, we were joking earlier about you losing a die in the tub. But it really is, at its most basic element, taking the book into the bathtub and just kind of reading about it, just kind of getting away and forgetting about it and going back. Now, some people want to go back to Transylvania in 1812 or whatever they feel romantic about in their minds. Hey, if you're a Raider fan and Sack and Lenny Dawson is your thing, it's still, you know, romanticizing something about that.
Yeah, no.
And you're using your head to do it. And so, yeah, and your basic thing is that it's productive. You are writing a story, whether you realize it or not.
You are, in most cases, you are going to a very happy place.
Right.
And that's a great point. You get lost in it. And that's one of the things I didn't even consider when I was making my list here, is that I'm going back, you know, and I'm playing Bobby Orr. How can
Right.
you not be in a good mood when you're playing Bobby Orr as a Bruins fan, okay? And pick your favorite team and favorite player. You go back and you play that team or that player, and just seeing the names in the card, and when someone makes a play in a positive way, or scores a goal, or gets a touchdown, or hits a home run, it is just so fun. Again, that Summit Series I talked about I was playing, when I went to Game 7 and Canada got 10 penalties, okay, that felt like that's how it was, is the referees called everything on Canada to give the Russians a chance, and that's just how it felt. And it just, I'm playing this game, and it's like, man, I am just like in my own little bubble here, and I'm just enjoying the heck out of this game, and I'm reliving the past, that, you know, and everything around me for just a little bit is just on hold. You know what I mean? Anything bad going on in my life or work or anything like that, it's just on hold while I'm playing this game in this bubble here. And so, yeah, you make a really good point about getting lost, and this is kind of your comfort food. This is, you know, home cooking. This is the nice chicken dinner on a cold, snowy day at grandma's house.
Right.
That's what this is. And that might be the biggest thing here about is gaming good for you, because you go to a good place. And even when you lose the game, it can bug you the whole bit. But for the most part, 90% of your gaming is going to be in a good place. Win or lose, you have fun doing what you're doing. And then you get to share your results with people. And you can say, hey, this was incredible here. You know, what a time I had. And then you can look at someone else's results and say, oh, geez, I see you had a pretty good game over there, blah, 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 blah. And so you go to this place that you can really relate to and you really enjoy. And, you know, and how many times we said we were on YouTube and a clip comes up from a game or something like that. It's like, well, now I remember that. Now I got to go play that. You know, I got to play that Bears-Buccaneers game, or I got to go play that, you know, Bruins-Whalers game or something like that. So it does. It brings you to a very safe and fun place when you go back and play these. Now, if you play a modern season, it's a little different. But, you know, I play the old stuff for the nostalgia of it, and it really does. It brings you back to a very happy place.
Let's go with a modern season conversation for a second here, because you can pretty much adapt any game, even on the computer, to whatever rule set that you want. Now, modern basketball is a lot of 3 points, and so you're going to have to take a lot of 3-point shots to do that. But if you want to take last year's baseball season and not do interleague and not do ghost runners and not do this and not do that, you can do that. You can make a have a modern season play the way that you choose to do it. And the more cards and dice you get with it, look, you don't need a ghost runner. You don't need to go 3 batters to, you know, minimum for a pitcher. If you're not really super worried about fatigue, then you can, you know, you want your starters to go 7, 8 a night, then your starters can go 7, 8 or not. Cards and dice don't get tired. Mm-hmm. You know, there's fatigue things put into games to try to simulate that. But if you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. If you want your pitchers to hit, have your pitchers hit.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's another thing, is that, you know, it's your game and your rules. And if it makes you more familiar with what's going on in front of you today, that's not a bad thing. But again, don't let that scare you just because it's not the way it was played when you were younger. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Again, everything is modifiable.
Yep. That's the fun thing about it.
To a degree.
Yep. A couple other things that just kind of came to mind is since I've been doing some computer stuff, but I mean the cards and dice stuff, I have found that I have become so much better with Excel and Word and Photoshop. Okay, I never really used much of them. I used it for work a little bit so I could just calculate what people owed me or whatever, or keep standings or stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I mean, you know, I'm doing things in Excel now, creating scoreboards now in Excel, you know, and drop-down menus and things that I never ever did before. So I'm getting, you know, better at Excel. I'm not saying I'm fantastic at it, but, you know, these computer programs, like Photoshop. When I bring in PDF cards, sometimes I like to bring in logos or add some splash of color to it or things like that. So I'm kind of working my way around Photoshop a little bit, learning how to do some of the graphics with that. I mean, I can't do, terrific Photoshop things, but I'm a lot better than I was, because I've never really touched Photoshop. So I'm learning Photoshop as I go, bringing in some of the graphics and the PDFs, what's that other one there? Like I can't. PowerPoint. I've never ever used PowerPoint in my life until I started to do this hobby, and now I use that to create my thumbnails for YouTube. I use it just recently. I posted some images to Facebook, and I forget. It's a couple emails I sent out of the Summit Series. I created a nice backdrop. And then put all the scores and some highlights, so it kind of looks like you're looking at like NHL, TV, and with all the the scores and the backdrops, and who scored the goals or whatever. And I did that for all 8 games in PowerPoint, and it looks really neat. It looks really good. I've used that for a lot of different things. So, I've learned so much. Or I'm getting so much better with these computer programs, all thanks to the gaming, because I try to create, interesting thumbnails, or I try to create nice graphics when I post my results, and that's all with PowerPoint. But the Excel comes in handy when I'm streaming games and I want to have a scoreboard on the screen. Word, I've done a lot to produce as well, and again, I talked about the Photoshop. So I'm getting a lot of experience with computer programs that I've never used before.
I think things that people. Yeah, you're absolutely right. People are finding, we probably talk to 1 or 2 people a month that are amazed that they thought they were the only ones that were doing what we were doing as far as playing games, because this is a very solo, for the most part, a very solitaire hobby to get into. It's like, I didn't realize that anyone else still did this sort of thing. And I went through that 20-some-odd years ago, and I discovered the Delphi boards and go, oh, yeah, people are still playing this stuff. But realizing that there is a community out there and that you're not crazy for wanting to do this. And YouTube certainly has helped. And, you talk about your computer skills, and Tabletop Earl doing the History Maker Golf and the stuff he's making on Excel for scoreboards and that, and making it more immersive and helping to grow the hobby and all that. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. But the fact that although most of us play solitaire, realizing that we're not alone. Mm-hmm. And again, this is not necessarily a hobby that you can go to and say, oh, well, Jim Rice had 3 triples in this game. And the wife's going to go, who?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the kids are going to go, what?
Yeah.
And the cat goes, well, you go to bed so I can just go to sleep. That sort of thing. And it's like, oh, yeah. So realizing that you're not alone. Again, more people do crosswords and stuff. So if you say, I couldn't figure out what 38 across was in the Boston Globe crossword this morning. What about you? You can. Yeah. So realizing that you're not alone, I think, is also a big part of that.
I think that'll tie into what I was going to talk about is how many people we met and how many friends we've met. Even though I haven't met them in person, I've met a few in person, and a lot of them are just over YouTube or Facebook or email or something like that. And it's just, again, we're not. We're a lot of us are loners when we play, but when we interact out in the community, we're not really alone anymore. We have these community chats where we have couple, 3, 4, people come on with us that are YouTubers or people in the community, and then we had a good steady 60 people watching us on that Saturday night chat, and so it was
the most watched and listened to episode of the show.
Yeah, we're up to I think almost over 1,500, something like that. Yeah, between all the different places that show come out. And so it just brought everybody together. So it's like, we're chatting, we're sharing our stories, we're sharing, things that have happened with us. And so, yeah, we definitely, met some great people and have a lot of new friends now with this hobby here because we share a common interest, and that's the gaming thing. Something else I wanted to bring up too was when you're printing out the cards and dice, or even if you're setting up your table, I mean, it feels like you're doing some kind of like a crafting,
It definitely is. It's a crafty activity.
Yep. I mean, so you get your creativity out, and instead of sitting there, putting together, pieces of gimp or whatever, like we did when we were kids, at the park or whatever. So you see some people, they set up helmets, whether football helmets or baseball helmets, or they have a different thing here for their field, or just they jazz things up with colors. Hockey Unreal with his Uno card scoreboard. That is really kind of neat how different people do it. So you can get quite crafty with this here, printing out cards, rounding corners. Sometimes I do that, sometimes I don't. Adding logos, sometimes I do.
We did
sometimes
an entire show on that.
Yeah, cutting into your gaming time because you're spending a lot of time setting up your game, and you want to make it look good. And so I feel like I've done a lot of crafting here with this game as well as far as setting up my tabletop, whether I stream or not. Sometimes I set up my tabletop, it makes me feel good. Mm-hmm. I put nets on my scoreboard, on my table, so I have hockey nets on there and the whole bit. And then one of the last things I'll bring up is, it is fun when you do order something that comes in, when the mail or the UPS does show up and you get that package and you
what can Brown do for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, so whether it's a new game or whether it's a new season, sometimes you buy it off of eBay, or sometimes, I've had a couple of people send me a couple of seasons. I got an extra season here, have it. It's like, that was phenomenal of them to do that, or if you just order something, like I'm waiting on another Hockey Bone season to come in, and I'm really going to be excited when I get that in. And so it's just something to say about, you're kind of a little bit of a collector, I guess. So some of these games, we collect seasons and the whole bit. And it's fun seeing them come in on mail or UPS. But even the PDFs are fun sometimes, too. Sometimes there's a game that's just PDF only. And it's like, I'm going to get a season. I'm in the mood to play this season. And I know I have a couple of seasons that are close to that season, but I want this season here. I'm going to go and spend $10 or $20 on the PDF, and then I'm going to sit and I'm going to print them out, and I'm going to enjoy my time with this. And so there is something to be said about, having that package come in, or getting that email with the seasons that you can print out, and getting creative with it. So just it's fun to order things in this community, because again, we all have more than we can ever play. A lot of us do, but it's still fun to get something new in. Like if I had every season for every game that I own, there'd be nothing to look forward to.
That's true.
If you think about it that way.
No, you're absolutely right.
So that I purposely will, I could sit there and say, okay, I'm going to order all these PDFs and I'll have everything. Well, great. But there's something about, I don't have this season here. I don't have 72. I'm going to order 72 today, And it just, to get in something new, I like to save it's like sliding the brownie off to the side. No, I'm going to have that later. I'm not going to eat that now. I'm going to have that brownie later, So something to look forward to. So I will personally, I will usually not order a ton of stuff. I'll order a little bit so I can save the other stuff to order later, except if there's a big sale or something that I might stock up. But it's just always fun to go and order another season or another game, or try a game on PDF or something like that. It's fun to get in new things. It just, again, it's a fun hobby, and we collect some things, we try new things, and it's so nice when something comes in that's new. Mm-hmm. So, so you wanted to talk about some of the things that maybe where gaming wasn't so good.
Well, I think one of them is trying to keep up with the Joneses. Don't spend money that you don't have on a game. And I think that because of the community, and because we do show off a lot of the new shiny new toys on occasion, and so it's like some people feel that they have to keep up and have to do that. And some of these games are expensive. Stratomatic, for instance, has just got up to $30 per season for their stuff, because when I bought in 2004, it's what the price was. And
now is that cards or PC?
That's the PC. The
okay.
PC season is $30.
No, okay.
Again, it's their mousetrap. They can charge whatever they want for it, and you do it if you want or not. But there's a fair amount of monkey see, monkey do, and especially in the YouTube community. And if you don't have the resources, Dave just showed off this game, or Ron just showed off this game, or Al just did this, and I got to have this, and I got to have that. If you don't have the money for it, this is a hobby. This is not a lifestyle. It's a hobby. And so don't buy what you can't afford to buy. There's That's one of the other is don't get caught in the rut of always trying to be 14. Understand that real life is hard. The last 3 or 4 years have been difficult on everybody in a lot of different facets of life, and it has nothing to do with sports and politics and all that. It's just as we get older, things wear on us more. So we have stuff going on personally. Everyone's health changes. We've gone through, and so, life was simpler a long time ago, but that doesn't mean that we can't enjoy the good things that go on with life with today. Mm-hmm. We do adjust. We can't always. Again, I was going back earlier. You can play a modern season, play whatever rule set you want to play with. There's nothing wrong with that. But don't poo-poo what these people are doing today because they aren't doing what you did when you were 14. I think that, and of course, don't if your kids and wife or a spouse wants to spend time with you, spend time with them. The gaming will always be there. Yep. It's just like, with a good book, it's always going to be there, and 9 times out of 10 it's there, but, you get the chance to spend the time with someone that you wouldn't necessarily get the chance to do. You spend the time with that person. That game is always going to be there.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. No, I agree that you can get into a lot of money with this.
Especially the money thing. And because there are times I feel bad that we'll show something off and we know that we can afford to do it and all of that. And you're going, it's not required. You are not required to buy things all the time in this hobby.
Yeah. What I tend to do myself is, I get a game that I really like, and we talked about this on the stream on the community chat that someone brought up the fact that you don't want it to go out of stock, and I know PDS technically don't go out of stock, but people have retired in the community and their games are gone. And so when I find a game that I really, really like, I want to get the seasons that I really want to play. And
absolutely.
And then a few extra because I don't want them to go away. And I've been guilty of having a game that I really liked and grabbed a bunch of seasons over time, not all in one day, but over time I've stocked up on seasons and then found another game that I really, 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 really like, and I want to make sure I have all the seasons for that. And then I found another game. And that's where I run into problems where it's like, oh my gosh, this game is so good, and then 6 months later, oh, here's this game. Where'd this game come from? I never, now this is the new game that I like. So I run into that a lot. Where I've bulked up on seasons for games that I enjoy, and then I end up finding another game that it's either is just as fun or even more fun, and then it's a rinse and repeat.
And that happens to everybody. That's just not you. This is.
I have yet to settle on any particular game because I'm always finding a new game, and it's like, oh man, this is the next best thing here. I don't know if it's the shiny new keys thing or if it just really is that good, and I want to spend the money on that.
There are a lot of good game. Bless you, wife sneezing. A lot of good games made by the community that weren't there 5 years ago, because there is a lot of encouragement. There is a lot of new information out there that was not there before, and people are showing that creativity in creating these games that are fantastic.
Yeah.
And so it continues to grow and grow and grow. And I don't, the good thing is it really isn't a problem, but yeah, you can only play, there's only one of us, and we can only play one game at a time. So it's not like, bass guitar, electric guitar, and an acoustic guitar, and trying to find the best one of those. There's only 3, if you want to go with the steel guitar for country, there's only 3 or 4 or 5 different kinds of guitars out there. What was it? Our friend Bernie asked how many different kinds of baseball games are out there. And I think when he was done, they came out with 42 different baseball games that are currently on the market. I
didn't do a count, but I think there's got to be close to 100. Of all the different kinds, quick play, medium play, right. The ones the ones you don't know. I would be willing to bet that it's maybe 75. But, I know I have a ton of baseball games here, and I still don't have them all. So, I mean, so there's got to be a lot of games here that we're not even thinking of. So if we actually sat down to create a list, I bet it would be closer to 100 than it would be to 50.
Right. And so yeah. So there's a lot, I kid you about the whole Golden Corral thing. But if you look at, what's in your wheelhouse, the hockey games, and the baseball games and that. There are so many different ways to play things and so many different new things that are coming out, and people are going, well, what about this or what about that?
I think I have over 20 hockey games, cards, and dice.
I'm sure you have 20 games.
There's not nearly as many hockey games as there are baseball games, but I think I do. If I were to sit down and list them all, I think I did one time, and I think I had over 20, and I've since added a couple, that have either I haven't played before, and there's still some I haven't gotten yet that I do plan on getting to, But anyway, so what do you guys think? Is gaming, good for you? If not, let us know. If you think so,
I think it's overwhelmingly good for us.
I think so too. So we try to touch on some of the things that we thought were really good about this hobby here. So without further ado, I think we should get to the stars of the week.
Absolutely.
Okay, our first star of the week here in episode 172. Well, you just mentioned them. Bernie, Bernard S., thank you so much.
Woo-hoo!
Number 3 star, in no particular order here on the show. Number 2 star, Glenn Victor.
Yay!
Glenn, thank you. Thank you so much for supporting the show. And the number 1 fan, sadly, Steeler fan Buggy Whips is going to be closing shop as we close out the Spiders season. But the good news is, as we move forward on my next project in Strat Baseball, some of the Steeler fan family has continued to tradition, and they will be opening up a new fictitious sponsor for my new project. So Steeler fan is our number 1 star of the week. And it's bittersweet that Steeler fan Buggy Whips is coming to an end with the end of the project, but there'll be new ventures for the Steeler fan family and business.
Just remember, snake oil never goes out of style.
Yeah, I know. Uncle Ron snake oil, that's going to be gone too. Doc Towers elixir is going to be gone. All kinds of things are going to be gone as we leave 1899 and move into the early part of the 1900s. I'm not going to mention what my project's going to be yet, but I'll have that coming up soon.
Something to do with federal.
Not sure yet. Sure yet. It could be, but I'm not going to give it away just yet. We'll have to have a big send off here when we have opening day for that, whatever it's going to be. But I will say one thing: it will not be another team like the Spiders.
No.
That was fun, but oh man,
You're not doing the 62 bets.
Between the Seals and the Spiders, there's only so much losing one can take. All right, let's close this out. All righty. You've been listening to the Digital to Dice podcast. This has been episode 172. We talked about, is gaming good for you? So please let us know in the comments or on Facebook, wherever you leave comments for us. Send us an email. Let us know. Is gaming good for you? What do you think? Also, coming up on a future episode, we want to know your positive customer service stories here in the industry. Who have you dealt with? What companies? What people have you dealt with that you've had good luck with? Because we want to share that. We want to show that there are some good people in the industry, and I know not everything's been positive, but we want to focus on the positive to kind of, shine a light on that. Ways to get a hold of us: digitaltodice.com is the website, 978-751-DICE is the text line. As mentioned, digitaltodice@yahoo.com is the email, and over on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/digitaltodice. And that wraps up 172, Ron.
Wow.
That was a good one. I'm interested to see some of the comments on this one.
Yeah.
I really am. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to get back to some gaming myself. I'm kicking around my next project again. I'm going to dig out the shootout cards and see what kind of bubbles to the surface, because I want to play some shootout here. So what's your next thing going to be?
With the weather coming in, I'm actually going to be able to do noontime streams all this week for baseball. So.
Oh, nice. Did you say noon or nude?
Noon.
Oh, I thought you said nude streams this week. And I was like, oh, here we go with a hot tub. But yeah, I know you're dying to get that hot tub.
No one wants to see that. No one wants to see that.
You never know.
I don't want to know anyone who wants to see that, okay?
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.